That year, our parents passed away and the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. I cut all ties with my sister when she was at her absolute lowest point. 5 years later, her company went public. She achieved massive success and became the President Huo that everyone looked up to. A reporter asked her who she was most grateful to after all these years. My sister's expression was freezing cold, her tone dripping with sarcasm. My younger brother, who abandoned me for money. No, wait. He doesn't even count as my brother anymore. How is he doing anyway? The reporter launched a massive online campaign to find President Huo's younger brother, offering a 10 million bounty. But they couldn't find me. They only found the diary I wrote right before I died. When the reporter handed that diary over to my sister, she completely froze on the spot. She took it with trembling hands, but in the very next second, threw the diary straight into the trash can. Is this Huo Nian's newest little trick? Or did you guys set this up on purpose just for the show's ratings? The reporter shook his head and carefully picked my diary back up. This really is the diary your brother wrote before he passed away. As for his body, it's already been cremated. Since no one came to claim him, the crematorium already handled it. Before he could even finish his sentence, my sister stood up in an absolute rage. Don't you dare think I'll forgive him just because he's playing this kind of sick game. You go tell Huo Nian that I already have a new younger brother now. He means absolutely nothing to me. Even if he's really dead, I wouldn't give a damn. The reporter looked at her awkwardly. Then, what would you like to do with this diary? My sister, Huo Wantang, let out a cold, mocking laugh. Read it out loud. I want to see exactly what kind of lies he made up. Hello, Mr. Diary. Please take care of me from now on. You're the only one left to keep me company. Let me tell you. Today, I packed up the gifts my family bought for me, and got caught by my sister while trying to run away from home. I didn't even want to bump into her. I just wanted to quietly slip away from the house without making a single sound, but my sister was being so annoying. She grabbed my hand, begging me not to leave, crying that I was her only family left. In that moment, my heart really ached. But I still kept a cold face and snapped at her. The company is completely bankrupt. Can you still afford to buy me the motorcycle models I like? I spend money like water. Can you even afford to raise me anymore? Rather than living with you, racking our brains trying to save a few pennies every single day, I might as well find a rich sugar mommy to support me. And it just so happens I know one. But my sister got even more frantic and demanded to know who it was. She begged me not to get scammed, and swore that she would work even harder and make lots and lots of money. She promised I'd go back to living like a spoiled young master again. But guess what I told her? I said, I want to be scammed. Is it any of your damn business? If you were actually capable and had the money to keep me, I'd still be your good little brother. I'd even come back home. But when will you ever have money? My sister is such a proud and strong person, yet just to make me stay, she actually dropped to her knees in front of me. Pretty pathetic, right? I turned my head away, wiping the tears from the corners of my eyes before she could notice. I even slapped her right across the face. I told her to stop clinging to me and ruining my future. I even threatened to sever all ties with her forever. That slap truly stunned her. She just stood there, frozen on the spot, watching helplessly as I dragged my luggage away. I'm so sorry, sis. It must have hurt so much, didn't it? After reading this page, the reporter took a deep, heavy breath. Who knew President Huo was so deeply dependent on her younger brother? But when the camera panned back to the sister, her expression didn't soften in the slightest. She remained completely cold, brushing it off with a casual remark. I really regret it. I regret ever treating him so well, just to raise such an ungrateful brat. Dear diary, it's me again. Today, I went to another hospital for more tests. Honestly, I was really hoping the first diagnosis was just a massive mistake. Because then, I could go back and tell my sister I'm sorry. If I just swallowed my pride and apologized, she'd forgive me, just like she always used to. But, life doesn't exactly hand out miracles, does it? The doctor, this older guy with a dead serious face, looked at me and asked, "Where are your parents?" It's primary liver cancer. And it's already in the final stages. You need to be admitted right away. I didn't really understand all the medical terms, but the sheer terror of dying still made me break down and cry. I'm only 18 years old. The doctor gave me this look full of pity and printed out the admission bill. I ran over to the payment kiosk, took one look at the total, and ended up sneaking right out of the hospital. Forget it. My account is linked to my sister's card. I should save her the money. I'm going to die soon anyway, so why waste her hard-earned cash? She works too hard for her money. Ever since the contractor our parents worked with bolted, and the project went under, their whole cash flow completely collapsed. Mom and Dad were under so much pressure, running around trying to fix it, until they got into a car crash after a business dinner, and they both died. All the company's massive debts suddenly fell right on my sister's shoulders. I saw it with my own eyes, the debt collectors busting down our door, screaming for their money, and clearing out every single thing of value we owned. And my sister, just to save the few $100,000 she promised for my study abroad fund, she fell to the ground, begging them on her hands and knees. But in the end, the bank still froze all our assets. Trying to pay off those mountains of debt, my sister ran everywhere, begging for loans. She drank with clients until her stomach literally bled, and she ended up in the ER. But she didn't have the time to rest, and she definitely didn't have the money for treatment. The second she woke up, she discharged herself and went right back to hustling for clients. Swallowing her pride, begging everyone and giving up all her dignity just to get a deal. I cried and begged her to wait until she was fully healed before working again. But she just smiled and said she was made of steel, that she'd be fine. Don't you think my sister is kind of an idiot? Honestly. I just wanted to share her burden. I wanted to tell her I didn't even need to go overseas to study abroad. I wasn't that spoiled little rich kid anymore. I didn't need anything fancy. I could have just gotten a part-time job to help take care of her. But who would have thought? At the absolute worst possible time, I'd get slapped with an illness that costs a fortune. Dear Diary, don't you think I'm completely useless too? The reporter's eyes brimmed with tears. It seems, your brother really did have a secret reason for leaving you back then. Getting liver cancer at such a young age, it's just heartbreaking. Huo Wantang let out a cold sneer. What a brilliant little sob story. Journalist Lin, please don't let him play you for a fool. Huo Nian is an absolute master at lying. When we were kids, just to get out of going to school, he'd fake a sprained ankle. He had the whole family practically doing backflips, absolutely terrified for him. We even rushed him to the ER. His acting has always been top-notch. Let's hope that's all this is. I couldn't sleep again last night. It's not that I don't want to. It just hurts way too much. The illness is getting worse. If I don't buy pain killers, I seriously won't be able to handle it. But I don't have any money. And right now, I have more important things to worry about. If I don't pay rent soon, I'm getting kicked out by my landlord. Looks like I'm really gonna experience sleeping under a bridge like I told my sister when we were kids. Back when I read martial arts novels, I thought heroes sleeping under bridges was so cool. But now that I'm all grown up, I'm just terrified of having absolutely no money. I had no choice but to list the gifts Mom and Dad gave me online. They were among the very few things I brought out with me. But whenever someone actually asked to buy them, I'd always find some excuse to back out. Truth is, I just couldn't bear to part with them. In the end, I was hurting and starving so badly, I couldn't take it anymore. I withdrew $500 from my card. I'm so sorry, sis. I ended up using your money again. Funny how being broke completely cures you of being a picky eater. When you're so hungry, you're about to pass out, you'll even grab a dirty, thrown away bun straight out of the trash and eat it. And honestly, it actually tasted pretty good. Guess being poor really does cure every symptom of rich boy syndrome. I went to the supermarket and bought a bag of buns, a jug of water, and then hit the hospital for some painkillers. I'll save the rest for my rent. My teacher called me again today. He begged me to focus on my studies. He said it's such a shame for a top student like me to suddenly start cutting classes. I was so scared he'd track down my sister, so I offered to just drop out. But he still ended up calling her anyway. My sister called me just now. Her voice was so stiff and completely ice cold. Huo Nian, I know you want absolutely nothing to do with me anymore. And I don't care what kind of woman you're hooking up with, but you have no right to throw away the education you were so proud of, just for her. Acting so degenerately, how can you even face mom and dad? It had only been about 10 days since I last heard her voice. But it felt like forever. Like half a lifetime had passed. I clamped a hand over my mouth to keep from sobbing out loud, but I just couldn't stop the tears. Sis. I miss you so much. On the other end of the line, she completely lost her patience and snapped. If you keep acting like this, I am completely washing my hands of you. She hung up on me, and I just cried for a long, long time. Dear Diary, I think it's best if I just block her number. I'll go officially drop out tomorrow. The reporter noticed CEO was staring off blankly, and she paused for a brief moment. She wiped a tear from the corner of her eye, then turned to the next page. Dear Diary, I moved again. That original motel was $50 a night, which was just way too expensive. I walked around all day. I must have searched the entire city, until I finally found a place in a rundown, remote urban village down south. It's only $30 a night. The room has 4 beds in it. A really creepy older guy lives in the bed diagonally across from me. The moment I laid eyes on him, I was terrified. I shot a grateful look over to the older girl in the room. She sleeps in the bottom bunk, and her name is Xia Yang. She looked up and flashed me a warm smile. Don't worry, big sis has got your back. She's so incredibly nice. That night, I took my medicine and actually slept really peacefully. I had a dream. In my dream, Mom and Dad took my sister and me to Disneyland. They knew I was totally obsessed with Iron Man, so my sister stood in line for hours just for me. When it was finally her turn, she called out my name and pushed me right up to the Iron Man actor. I was finally getting to take a picture with my ultimate idol. I was smiling so hard my eyes turned into little crescents. Mom, Dad, and my sister were standing just a few steps away, watching me with such happy smiles. But, as soon as the picture was taken, I turned around, and they were all gone. The bright, sunny blue sky suddenly turned pitch black. I was so scared. I searched and searched, but I couldn't find them anywhere. I woke up absolutely terrified, drenched in a cold sweat. The older girl looked at me, her face full of worry. Hey, are you okay? I shook my head. Sis asked me why I was living here, and I just poured my heart out and told her everything. I don't know why, but I just really trusted her. After listening, Sis didn't say a word. She just hugged me tight. Her embrace was so incredibly warm. She told me she was an orphan. She got adopted, but her adoptive father was horribly abusive to her. She just couldn't take it anymore, so she ran away. She's been surviving on the streets since she was a teenager. She's seen it all, and picked up quite a few tricks to protect herself. She told me, a kid like you needs someone like me to watch your back. Sis taught me all sorts of little tricks to save money, like going to the supermarket and looking for expired food. Some places will actually pay you off a little bit. Others won't pay, but they'll let you take the expired stuff for free. We'd also go to the farmer's market to scavenge, picking up the leftover veggie leaves that the aunties tossed out. Just pinch off the rotten parts, blanch them in boiling water, and it's totally enough to fill your belly. Oh, and Sis Yang even took me to do a part-time gig for some extra cash. I made $60 in just one afternoon. Holding that money, for the first time ever, I felt like I wasn't completely useless. I thought to myself, if I could just make this much every single day, I could actually leave a nice chunk of money for Sis after I die. Just thinking about that made me laugh out loud. But Sis Yang looked at me like I was a total idiot. You made $60 and you're this thrilled? She poked me right on the forehead and muttered, you really are hopeless. Aside from having to constantly watch out for that creepy old guy every day, the only other thing was having to rush to wash up and get into bed, because the motel cuts the power right at 10 o'clock sharp. And they cut the water, too. But honestly, Living at that motel during that time was actually pretty happy. It's almost time for the blackout again. Good night. The reporter couldn't help but notice that when he read the part about the creepy old guy, even the normally ice-cold Mr. Huo quietly clenched his fists. He thought to himself, maybe Mr. Huo didn't actually despise his own little brother as much as he let on. But a second later, he reconsidered. Maybe what he just saw was nothing more than his imagination playing tricks on him. He turned to the next page and kept reading. Dear Diary. I moved out. Yesterday, Sis saw me coughing up blood. She barely has any savings herself, yet she insisted on taking me to the doctor. I hadn't told her I was sick before this. I just said I had a huge fight with my older sister and that's why I moved out. But I couldn't keep hiding it from her. Maybe I really am just a total curse. I absolutely refuse to drag her down with me, and I definitely don't want to be a burden on this incredibly loyal sis I just met. She told me once that the whole reason she's saving money is so she can open her own auto repair shop someday, and finally have a real home of her own. I am absolutely not letting you die this young, she said. When she said that, her eyes were so incredibly stubborn and fierce. I just smiled and nodded at her, but in my heart, I was thinking, goodbye, sis. Bright and early the next morning, I grabbed what little luggage I had, and quietly slipped away. Squatting here writing this diary is making my legs fall asleep. Hold on, let me just stretch for a second. Okay, better. My health has gotten so much worse lately. I've actually started throwing up blood. I just threw up again and couldn't even stop it. The people walking by saw me like this, and they were all completely freaked out. They backed way off, pointing and whispering about me. I just curled up into a pathetic little ball, and it took me forever to finally look up. Then I realized, blood had dripped right onto the pages. I frantically tried to wipe it off with my hand, but it just smeared and got bigger. I'm so sorry, dear diary. Now I've gone and gotten you all dirty, too. I swear I didn't mean to. It's just that the pain was so unbearable. As I crouched on the ground trying to catch my breath, an auntie wearing worn-out clothes walked right up to me. She pressed some crumpled cash into my hands, and no matter how hard I tried to refuse, she just dropped the money and ran. I quietly followed her, only to discover that she was with her disabled husband. And in his arms, he was holding a very young baby. She tucked a stray hair behind her ear, kissed the baby's cheek, and went right back to her busy fruit stall. I stood there, waiting in the shadows for a long time, until the sun went down, and half of my body was completely frozen. But they still had more than half of their fruit left. The auntie let out a heavy sigh. Her husband comforted her softly, and the two of them started packing up. They placed the baby in a nearby basket. I pulled my hat down lower, walked over quickly, and while she wasn't looking, I stuffed that cash right back into the baby's clothes. Wow, what a nice made-up story. I was almost moved to tears. What, did his sugar daddy run out of cash? So now he's writing fiction to make a quick buck. Reporter Lin, there is absolutely no need to keep reading. It's truly laughable that I actually sat here and wasted so much of my time. Since he's playing dead and is too much of a coward to face me, then I'll just treat him as if he's really dead. I don't care anyway. After saying that, she stood up and walked away without a second glance. The interview came to an abrupt end. But unexpectedly, this interview episode went completely viral. Someone dug up news from 5 years ago, revealing that after President Huo cut ties with her brother, she was frequently seen at a psychological clinic. They deduced that the trauma of her parents' passing, combined with her brother's betrayal, caused President Huo to suffer from severe depression. And that later on, once her company started recovering, she adopted a new younger brother. Meanwhile, the biological brother's diary sparked intense, heated discussions among netizens. Some people furiously cursed at President Huo's brother, saying that just to grab attention, he was actually faking his own death. They pointed out that back then, he abandoned his own flesh and blood sister for money, leaving her all alone to face the terrifying threat of bankruptcy, which dealt a massive blow to her mental health. And now that he sees his sister is wealthy and successful, he's playing the victim to beg for sympathy. even stooping so low as to forge this kind of diary. But it's too bad that President Huo already has a new younger brother. Rumor has it that for his 18th birthday, she booked out an entire amusement park, and even gifted him a limited edition sports car. Saying she spoils him rotten and treats him like a total prince would be an understatement. On the other hand, some people felt that maybe there really was a hidden truth. This diary is written so incredibly realistically, and the emotions are so deeply genuine. They just couldn't believe that someone who writes notes like this could be a shallow gold digger. But regardless of the mixed reviews, the netizens were all eagerly waiting on the edge of their seats to see what President Huo's brother wrote next in his diary. Desperate to milk the hype, the television station's reporter contacted President Huo once again, asking if she would consent to publicly releasing her brother's pre-death diary. Whether she didn't believe it was real or genuinely just didn't care, President Huo's assistant stated that. President Huo said, "This diary has already been handed over to your TV station to handle. As for whether you publish it or destroy it, I have zero objections." The assistant further added that President Huo made it crystal clear, she only has one younger brother, Huo Yu. A portion of the netizens felt this was incredibly satisfying and completely deserved, mocking the brother to see if he would keep up his little act now that she literally didn't care. Having obtained the green light, the TV station shortly after launched a live broadcast titled, Huo. On the broadcast screen for the Pre-Death Diary program, he wore a completely solemn expression. "Just like all of you, I haven't read this diary beforehand. With CEO Huo's permission, I'll be sharing it with everyone tuning into the stream today. I just ask that you all, please be kind in your comments." In an instant, hundreds of thousands of viewers flooded into the stream. In less than a minute, the viewer count broke 1 million. Everyone was on the edge of their seats, waiting for reporter Lin to open the diary. Meanwhile, at the Huo estate, Assistant Lin Yi looked at CEO Huo with a complicated expression. After a long hesitation, he finally spoke up. "CEO Huo, the broadcast is starting." CEO Huo didn't even look up. "I thought I made myself clear. I don't want to hear another word about him." Reporter Lin took a deep breath, and opened the diary. "Dear Diary. I found a little stray dog today. I didn't want to get involved at first, but he just kept dragging his injured leg behind me, whimpering so pitifully. I knew a guy like me couldn't possibly take good care of him. So, I hardened my heart and kept walking. But after just 2 steps, I looked back. The moment I scooped him into my arms, the little yellow dog's eyes suddenly lit up. He started licking my palm non-stop. I just let out a heavy sigh. He must have known I was a total softie. I named him Changsheng, hoping that he'd be blessed with a long and lucky life. That he wouldn't end up dying young, like me. I rushed him to the vet clinic. Just the checkup fees alone completely emptied my wallet. And the surgery he needed was going to cost 2,000. If he didn't get the surgery, he would die. I looked down at Changsheng in my arms, and desperately begged the vet to let me bring him back for the surgery in a few days. I told them I didn't have the money. "We can't delay this anymore, tomorrow is the absolute deadline," they said. I carried Changsheng out of the clinic, and sat on a street corner, completely lost. I started talking to him. "You're so silly. There are so many rich people out there, yet you didn't go to them. You just had to pick a dying guy like me. And if that wasn't bad enough, I'm dead broke, too. Where am I supposed to find 2,000 for you?" The little pup couldn't understand a word I was saying. He just kept wagging his tail happily, celebrating the fact that he finally had a home. Looking at him, my eyes welled up with tears again. Because of that, I dragged myself to an ATM. I hesitated, wanting to withdraw 2,000. "Just this last time. Sis, this will be the absolute last time I ever spend your money," I told myself. But to my surprise, she had completely frozen my supplementary credit card. My heart just sank. But then again, it made sense. I was the one who told her I was cutting all ties with her. She had no obligation to give me a single dime. I never planned on contacting her ever again, but I had no choice. For Changsheng's sake, I took my sister's number off my block list, and called her. The phone just kept ringing, and ringing for a long time. Just when I thought she was going to ignore it, she finally picked up. She let out a cold, mocking scoff. Regretting it already? You blocked me, and now you have the nerve to come crawling back. Didn't you say you were cutting all ties with me? Or what, did you just run out of money? The moment she spoke, the words completely died in my throat. I wanted so badly to just hang up right then and there, but feeling Changxing in my arms reminded me what was at stake. Send me 2,000. My sister went dead silent for a moment, before sharply asking. She asked me. You haven't reached out in so long, don't you even care about your sister? Don't you care if I'm eating well? Or if I'm sleeping well? Did you even miss me? You just want money, don't you? I bit my lip hard. A salty taste surged up from my throat, but I forced it down. I answered mechanically. Yeah. My sister seemed to choke back a sob. Fine. You want money, is that it? I'll give you everything. Are you satisfied now? I never should have gotten my hopes up about you, Huo Nian. You really have no heart. From today on, I am cutting off all ties with you. She hung up the phone. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I squatted on the ground, hugging Changxing, and threw up. Blood, so much blood. But against the dark floor, you could barely even tell. Changxing seemed terrified. He whimpered non-stop, licking my cheek over and over. I gently stroked Changxing to comfort him. It hurt, but I was already numb. Honestly, my heart ached a lot more. I looked back at my phone. I had already received 20,000 yuan from my sister, but when I tried to transfer the extra money back to her, I found out she had already blocked me. I held Changxing and cried for a long, long time. I knew she really didn't want me anymore. I used to hope she would forget about me and cut me off, but now that she actually did it, I was so heartbroken I couldn't even breathe. Changxing. I don't have a home anymore. The live comments flooded the screen. Why is this so tragic? Even if this guy is just faking his death, the story he made up is still way too touching. I'm already in tears. Hurry up and continue. What happened to Changxing? Puppies can't talk. They only know how to celebrate finally having a home. Fortunately, at this point, there were only a few haters left cursing Huo Nian for playing the victim to farm sympathy, but compared to before, it was just a drop in the bucket. It seemed like everyone was now way more worried about Changxing's safety. Urged by the viewers, reporter Lin composed herself and turned to the next page. Dear Diary, it's been a while. I have some good news for you. Changxing finally had his surgery. He's completely healthy now. It's just that he's a very clingy little puppy. He follows me everywhere I go. Even when I sleep, he insists on snuggling right by my feet. But there's also some bad news. My illness has gotten worse. I don't know how much longer I have left to live. Maybe less than a month. Whenever I go to the pharmacy to buy large amounts of pain killers now, the staff stare at me with their guard up. They always think I'm some kind of junkie. Thank God I still kept my medical records. After a bit of begging, they usually soften up and sell them to me. But the painkillers are getting less and less effective. I have to take higher doses just to fall asleep. Yesterday, while I was handing out flyers, I suddenly passed out on the side of the road. It terrified Changxing. He kept licking my face and barking at me. Eventually, it drew the attention of a kind stranger who took me to the hospital. And I had to pay another huge medical bill. It broke my heart doing the math. Not only did I lose out on my part-time wages, but I'm also heavily out of pocket. You need to be hospitalized immediately, and we have to notify your family. If you keep going like this, you might very well. The doctor didn't finish his sentence, but I knew exactly what he meant. I brushed him off with a few vague excuses and hurried out of the hospital. Get hospitalized? No way, that costs way too much money. At the hospital entrance, I found Changxing. As soon as he saw me, he came running over. But that night, the pain was still so bad I just tossed and turned, completely unable to sleep. Changxing noticed how much pain I was in. He was so worried, but there was nothing he could do. All he could do was press himself tightly against me and keep licking me. He looked like he was about to cry. I weakly raised my hand and tried to comfort him, telling him I was okay. But the very next second, I couldn't hold it back and rushed out of the room. I hugged the toilet and just threw up. It felt like I was puking out my entire insides. I don't know how much time passed. I threw up until the whole room was spinning. Later on, feeling Changxing gently licking me, I slowly came back to my senses. I looked in the mirror and completely scared myself. God, I look so awful. My hair is thinning, and my skin is totally sallow. My cheeks used to be so round, but now I'm so skinny, my chin is sharp and my collarbones are jutting out. My sister used to joke that this baby face of mine made me look completely harmless. Now, it seems like I'm really going to be stuck with this face forever. Staying young forever doesn't really seem like a good thing after all. I just wanted to grow up, bit by bit, right by my sister's side. I wanted to watch her get married, build her career, and live a truly happy life. I washed my face and patted my cheeks to hype myself up a bit. Well, I guess there is one upside. Thank God my sister can't see what I look like right now. Otherwise, she'd be absolutely terrified. I took my painkillers and barely managed to fall asleep, but the fever came back in the middle of the night. Diary. It hurts so much. To be completely honest, I really miss my sister. I just want to see her one more time. Even if it's just a quick glance from far away, that would be enough. A little wish like that shouldn't be asking for too much, right? I'm heading out to see her today. I'm taking Changxing with me. I even got ready for it, a hat, a mask, and a big black trench coat. Looking all cool, just like a paparazzi. I only need one quick look at her from far away. Diary. I'm back. My sister is still as gorgeous and totally put together as ever. She looks taller, but she's gotten thinner, too. At first, I just wanted to see her once and then leave. But, she just looked so deeply unhappy. She used to smile so much before. Without even thinking, I just started following her. I didn't understand why she was going to the hospital. Why was she going to therapy? After she left, I went in and asked her doctor. He wouldn't tell me at first, saying it was patient confidentiality. But after I begged and begged, he finally sighed and told me about her condition. My sister is sick. Really sick. The death of our parents hit her incredibly hard, and me leaving just destroyed her. She blames herself completely. She thinks she was useless, that she couldn't take good care of me, and that's why I got sick of her and ran away. It got so bad that she even started hurting herself. I cried. I just cried and cried, until I actually started laughing. She's such an idiot. I'm the useless one. I was only ever going to drag her down. She is literally the absolute best sister in the entire world. She would save up an entire year's worth of allowance, just to buy me an expensive birthday present. And those awful bullies at school. She'd beat them until they couldn't even stand, even if she got in massive trouble for it. After Mom and Dad died, she stepped up and handled absolutely everything. Enduring all this pressure by himself, yet he still gave me such a good life. How could I ever resent him? Reporter Lin suddenly stopped, holding the diary up to the camera. Everyone noticed this page. Besides the neat and elegant handwriting, there are also watermarks from dried tears. He must have cried for a very long time. His tears completely soaked this page of the diary. Even the reporter's eyes welled up with tears. She had to pause and steady her voice, which was trembling as she choked back a sob. I'm so useless. I can't do anything at all. I just watched my sister walk right past me, without even the courage to step forward and hug her. The moment our eyes met, she looked away. She didn't even recognize me anymore. But I guess that makes sense. Looking the way I do now, like some kind of walking corpse. It's better if she never sees me again. I don't want to make her sad. Dear Diary, I've finally made up my mind. Rather than waiting to die in agony, I might as well end it myself. Do you think I'm doing the right thing? I must be losing my mind from this sickness. I keep talking to you, and to Changxing. Talking as if either of you could actually answer me. But what about Changxing? What am I supposed to do? I can't just leave him behind like this. I think I'll give Changxing to my sister. He can keep her company. And that way, he'll have someone to take care of him too. Ha, I'm such a genius. But then I suddenly remembered. Tomorrow is my birthday. I just need to hold on for one more day. I really don't want to die on my birthday. Last year, when I turned 17, Mom and Dad got me a custom, limited edition gaming setup. When I unboxed it, Dad patted my shoulder and couldn't stop laughing. He called me the coolest kid in the world, and my sister got me this mechanical watch. The dial sparkled so much, it must have cost a fortune. But all of those gifts were seized a long time ago to pay off our debts. Now, the only things I have left are the cheap little trinkets. I carry them with me everywhere I go. Even when I was starving, I couldn't bring myself to sell a single one. When I sleep, I cuddle the brown teddy bear Mom bought for me when I was 8. It almost feels like I'm hugging her. Mom, Dad, and my sister used to promise that for my coming-of-age ceremony, they would throw me the biggest, most incredible birthday party ever, to celebrate their precious little boy turning 18. But now, it seems Changsheng is the only one left by my side. I just hold him tight. He's the only warmth I have left in this world. Changsheng must have sensed how I was feeling. He started licking my palms and my cheeks over and over with his wet little tongue, trying his best to comfort me. It tickled a bit, so I laughed and gave him a kiss. I picked him up and we went to the bakery. I just wanted to buy myself a tiny little cake. On my past birthdays, I didn't even care for those massive 3 or 4 tier cakes my parents would get me. But now, after so long without one, my mouth was watering. Staring at the price tag of a few $100, my heart sank, and I just stood there for the longest time. A cashier finally walked over, looking completely annoyed, and asked if I was going to buy anything. If not, I needed to get out. Then she glared at Changsheng in my arms, frowned, and told me no pets were allowed in the store. But I swear I just saw a guy holding a poodle. Maybe it was because Changsheng was so dirty. I didn't have the money to take him to a groomer for a bath. I just kept apologizing. I asked for the absolute cheapest chocolate cupcake they had, $20. I found a park bench and sat down with Changsheng in my arms. There were no candles, so I just imagined it all in my head. I closed my eyes and made a wish. I wished for Changsheng to be safe and healthy, and for my sister to be incredibly successful, to live a long, happy life. When I opened my eyes, I fed the cupcake to Changsheng. He gobbled it right up. It felt like he was celebrating my stepping into adulthood, my special day. I actually wanted some too, but after just a few bites, I slumped over and threw it all back up. In the end, I took Changsheng to the pet shop and got him a bath. It cost me $200. The owner said they'd never seen such a good, sweet little puppy. I took Changsheng back, all clean and smelling so good. I took a deep breath of his scent. Changsheng was a gift sent straight from heaven. And now, I wanted to pass this gift on to my sister. I hoped she would take good care of him for me. I hoped Changsheng could keep her company in my place. Oh, and the 20 grand on the bank card. I was going to secretly slide that under her door, too. Just right inside. If everything goes as planned, I won't be updating this anymore. Because tomorrow, I'll be going to another world to see Mom and Dad. Dear Diary, I'm really going to miss you. Changsheng, I'll be watching over you from up there. You too, sis. I'll protect you guys, forever and ever. Everyone thought that was the end, but reporter Lin subconsciously flipped to the next page and saw what was written there. I'm so sorry, Changsheng. I didn't take good care of you. Did sis think you belonged to someone else? Or, did she just not want you? I was hiding just a few steps away. I wanted to wait until she took you inside before I left. But, you broke free from your leash, and came running right toward me. If only I had handed you to her myself, would you still be alive? I just couldn't stop crying. I begged him not to go. Please, don't leave me. But he barely managed to lift his little head, let out a soft whimper, licked my cheek, and just closed his eyes. I held him tight and sang him a lullaby. Good little puppy, open up the door. As I sang, the tears just kept pouring down. I buried my sweet Changsheng right next to Mom and Dad's graves on that little grassy mound. The moon isn't full tonight, but it's shining so bright. I guess I can't wait for the 15th after all. Slow down, Changsheng. I'm coming to find you right now. Say hi to mom and dad for me. Goodbye, sis. Reporter Lin finished reading the diary, his eyes welling up with tears. Meanwhile, the live chat was scrolling by like crazy. Wait, Changsheng died? And Huo Nian died too? The author is so cruel. It's one thing to off themselves, but why'd they have to kill off the dog? The puppy didn't do anything wrong. Poor Changsheng. This is destroying me. Don't use a puppy to break my heart. Wait, is this Huo Nian actually dead, or is this fake? Is this just for the show? Can someone tell me? According to police records and our own investigation, Huo Nian passed away exactly 5 years ago. This isn't a publicity stunt, and she's not faking her death. Please show some respect for the deceased and watch your words in the chat. As for this diary, we will keep a record of this. As for any other questions, we won't be responding to them anymore. Thank you, everyone. Then, the reporter shut down the live stream. Since the netizens' curiosity couldn't be satisfied, they flooded Mr. Huo's Weibo with private messages, and left comments all over his page. There were so many searches that it even hit the trending list. Mr. Huo's brother, Huo Nian, is dead. Huo Nian's diary from before he died. Are the contents of the diary true? And that older sister mentioned in the diary made a post online. Nian. Is Nian really dead? I'm so sorry for leaving without a word back then. I looked for him for so long, but I couldn't find him. I failed him. If only I had taken him to get treated earlier, he wouldn't have left us so soon, and he wouldn't have suffered so much. Most people were still skeptical about all this, until she posted a photo of them together. The boy with the bright smile in the picture looked exactly like the previously leaked photos of Huo Nian. Only then did everyone finally believe her. The internet completely broke down. They realized the diary was real, and the entire web began to mourn for Huo Nian and Changsheng. Trending tags exploded one after another. Nian, Changsheng, we're bringing you home. Nian, Changsheng, are you two doing okay in the other world? This massive uproar finally alerted Mr. Huo's assistant. He stared at his phone for a long time, hesitating before he finally spoke up. Mr. Huo. 5 years ago, did you ever see a dog? A cream, yellow one? Mr. Huo looked at him in confusion. After a moment, he nodded. That day, I was coming home from the office, and I noticed something by the pillar near the entrance. There was a little puppy tied up. It was all cream yellow with a little pink nose, very clean and incredibly cute. You could tell right away it was someone's beloved pet. I remembered that he used to love small animals too, so I went over and gave it a pat. The puppy was so sweet, just kept wagging its tail at me. I figured its owner would be back soon, so I just went inside. Not long after that, I heard a huge commotion outside, so I walked over to the window to check. There was a boy sitting right in the middle of the street, holding that puppy and crying. He was crying so heartbrokenly. I assumed he was the owner. From what I heard, the puppy couldn't find its owner, panicked, broke free from its leash, and got hit by a car. The assistant completely froze. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. He looked down at the document that had just been sent to him, and his heart sank. Mr. Huo. I'm so sorry. Recently, I went behind your back to investigate the diary, and your brother's whereabouts. He really is dead. The police registered his death certificate 5 years ago. It's real, it can't be faked. He committed suicide by taking poison. That diary is real, too. After dropping that bombshell, the assistant didn't even dare to look at Mr. Huo's reaction. Instead, he clicked open the trending tags. You should look at this. Everything that happened to Huo Nian later on. His diary was made public across the entire internet today. I figured you would want to know. Walking over to the door, he quietly added, your brother, he really went through hell. After stepping out of Mr. Huo's office, Assistant Lin Yi gently closed the door behind him. With that soft, faint click, it felt as though the entire outside world had been shut out. Inside the office, only Huo Wantang remained. along with that impossibly heavy investigation report in his hands. The air in the room grew heavy and stagnant. All the coldness and indifference he had forced himself to maintain up until now, suddenly popped like a deflated balloon. It instantly vanished. She didn't even have the courage to open that file right away. Her ice-cold fingertips just lingered on the rough edges of the paper. Scenes from the interview flashed uncontrollably through her mind. When the reporter brought out that diary, her heart had tightened unnaturally in that split second. When she heard the contents of the diary, those tiny threads of doubt and stinging pain she had forcefully suppressed, along with that sentence. I originally wanted to keep him company, and leave someone to take care of Changsheng. Back then, she thought that was just Huo Nian's clumsy lie. But now, it felt like poison needles, piercing into her heart one by one. Trembling, she finally opened the file. The very first page was a photocopy of the police death certificate. Black and white. Cold and formal. Name: Huo Nian. Sex: male. Date of death: that autumn, 5 years ago. It had been a mere 3 months after their very last phone call. Cause of death: location of discovery: a small grove by the river in the suburbs, right next to the tomb where their parents' ashes were buried, just like he mentioned in his diary. Finder: an old man walking his bird in the early morning. Body disposal: due to being unclaimed, cremated by the funeral parlor according to regulations. Ashes temporarily stored. After the time limit expired, disposed of ecologically. Every single word was like a dull blade, sawing back and forth across her heart. The word unclaimed morphed into a physical slap, striking her viciously across the face. What was she doing back then? She was drowning in the anger and agony of his supposed betrayal. Maybe she was at some psychological clinic receiving therapy, or maybe forcing a smile at some cocktail party. Or perhaps, she hadn't even thought to verify whether he was actually still alive and well somewhere. Attached at the back were a few photocopies of crime scene photos. The resolution was low, but it was enough to see the scene clearly. A young man, so emaciated he was practically a skeleton, leaning quietly against a tree trunk. He was wearing that black trench coat mentioned in the diary. The hood covered most of his face. Scattered by his feet were empty medicine bottles and sleeping pills. In his arms, he was tightly clutching an old, battered brown teddy bear. Huo Wantang recognized it at a single glance. That was the birthday gift Mom gave him when he was 8. He had actually kept it by his side all this time. There was another photo showing where the diary was found. It was right by his side, carefully wrapped in a plastic bag, as if he was afraid the morning dew would get it wet. Right up to the very end, he was protecting this diary, his only outlet for his feelings. Huo Wantang's breathing grew frantic, her vision blurring rapidly. She desperately covered her mouth with her hands, but couldn't hold back the broken sobs surging up from the deepest depths of her chest. The tears she thought had dried up long ago now burst forth, scalding her skin. Nian Nian. My Nian Nian. She murmured, her voice so hoarse it didn't even sound like her own. It wasn't a pity play. It wasn't a made-up story. He was truly sick, truly destitute and driven to the brink. He truly spent the final moments of his life enduring the torment of his illness and the cold cruelty of the world, yet still holding on to the memory of her, his absolute failure of an older sister. He purposely said all those awful things, pushing him away in the most hurtful way possible, not because he didn't love him, but because he loved him way too much. Loved him so much that he'd rather carry all the blame and agony himself, than ever become a burden to him. And what did he do? What the hell did he do? He bought into the whole act, and hated him for 5 years. Even when he heard the news of his death, he actually said something as sick as, even if he dies, I couldn't care less. He adopted a new little brother, trying to use someone else to fill the empty hole he left behind. But he never, ever tried to understand why he had to be so ruthless back then. A crushing wave of regret and guilt completely drowned him. He thought back to their very last conversation, choking on his tears as he sobbed, I gave you everything I had. Are you happy now? I never should have expected anything from you, you really don't have a heart. Then, he coldly hung up the phone and blocked him everywhere. Just how much pain was he in, when he had to hear those words? Did he cough up blood again? Was he hugging that little puppy, Changsheng, crying until he couldn't breathe. The agony he had suppressed for so long finally ripped through his throat. It exploded into a blood-curdling wail. Huo Wantang just couldn't hold on anymore. He slid right off his chair, collapsing onto the carpet. Curling up just like a lost little boy, he cried his eyes out. That wailing was completely filled with pure despair, guilt, and an agonizing pain that could never be undone. He violently pounded his fists against the floor, his nails digging so deep they almost tore right through the expensive carpet fibers. I could have saved him. I could have recognized him. Why didn't I know it was him? That horrifying thought kept eating away at his sanity over and over again. That day outside the therapy clinic, that painfully thin paparazzi dragging his feet, hiding behind a mask and a hat. That was his Nian. He was looking right at him, but he just coldly turned his eyes away. If only he had stopped walking right then. If only he had just walked up and asked him a single question. If only, but damn it, life doesn't give you any what-ifs. Outside the office door, Lin and a few secretaries listened to the devastating, heartbroken sobbing coming from inside, just looking at each other in shock. Their eyes were filled with so much worry and pity, but absolutely no one dared to go inside and disturb him. They all knew that Boss Would desperately needed to let this all out. He needed to face this bloody, brutal truth. Huo Wantang had absolutely no idea how long he had been crying, not until his voice went completely hoarse. It felt like every single tear had run dry, leaving his body to uncontrollably shake and choke on his sobs. He laid paralyzed on the floor, staring blankly at the fancy chandelier on the ceiling, feeling like the entire world had just lost all of its color. The very next day, Huo Wantang didn't show up at the office. Lin handled all the urgent matters, and with a heart full of worry, showed up at Huo Wantang's villa right around sunset. He grabbed the spare key and unlocked the front door. A sickeningly strong stench of alcohol instantly hit him right in the face. The living room was an absolute disaster. Empty liquor bottles were scattered everywhere, just tipped over left and right. Huo Wantang was still wearing yesterday's business suit, curled up in the corner of the couch. His hair was a total mess, his eyes were bloodshot and swollen, and his face was still